All right. So here we go. Pro Tools, Command N, new, and we'll call this RSF 4-19-21. And I'll save this on my desktop. Now, I have to go back and set my preferences up again because I've been importing old sessions, and you notice that there's no click track here. So I want to have a click track. So I go to Event. Oh no, it's Track. Create click track. And then I've got my own plugin setting for click track. Great. And then what I'm going to do is Command Shift N. Let's do 6 stereo instrument tracks plus, let's do 2. I'm going to do stereo audio and 2 mono audio tracks. Great. And let's see. So again, I'm just going to be using stuff that comes with Pro Tools. Now, what you can do is, let's say you wanted to use multiple instances of Expand 2, right? So let me just right-click, and I'm going to delete these. What you can do is right-click on that name there, and then scroll down, and there's an option for duplicating, and you can just click on that, and then you can go 3, and then that's much quicker than popping stuff in. So I'll call this drums. Next is piano. And we'll just start with those. So I'm not sure if I went over Boom with you guys, but Boom is Avid's or Air Music technology, but Avid uses it. It's their like beatbox, right? So I'm going to, there's a bunch of ways to program this. I'm going to do it actually on a track. But one thing you can do with this is you can go right here and you can select a different kit. So if I record enable this, I like that. I don't, and then you can go and change individual sounds. So with this one, I don't like the tom-tom sounds. I don't like that either. I don't like that. Oh, it's horrible. All right. Great. So what you can do, and again, I'm showing you just different techniques for writing and working. So I'm going to open up the MIDI editor, and I'm going to select my drum. And let's do this. Let me switch view. Great. Now, when you play, there's 2 things about Boom. There are a bunch of loops that are up in this area here. Right? And then you could go through the presets, and they've got literally hundreds of grooves. But I want to create my own groove. So down in this area here are individual drum instruments, right? Now, I'm going to zoom in. And again, for those of you, over here, make sure that the A and Z is amber over in the upper right-hand corner, because then that gives us, give me 1 second here. Close that. Okay. That gives us key focus. All right, let me get back to the beginning here. So now, if you play this, what you can do is you can click on the keyboard, right? So I had to scroll down to get to the 1. And you can make this bigger, obviously, as we've done in class. And you can click on this and you can see where your different instruments are. So I'm going to start off with a kick drum, right? And I'm going to use the pencil tool. It doesn't matter what shape it is, or I think you can even use the grabber tool. And I've set my grid here to 240, so it's a 16th note. So yeah, so you need to have the pencil tool selected. So if I just click here, right? So boom, boom. So I can hit return key, I can play. And I don't want something to be that fast. I got to set my tempo a little slower. So I'm going to do something about maybe 82. So it'll be like a slow jam. Boom, da boom, boom, bum, right? Boom, da boom, boom. And then I would just repeat that. So that's my kick drum. And then, so I don't want that sound. I want a cross stick. So I have to go here to the rim. Let's see, where's the rim? So I don't like that. So I'm going to change that sound. There we go. This is the sound I like. And then I'm going to pop it in on the backbeat. All right. And you notice that it's velocity sensitive. So that's going to be good, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw in eighth notes. I'm just clicking here. Whoops. I can just drag that back up if I make a mistake. And if I want to do some accents, right? So if I want to have the offbeats accented, I can just, whoops, excuse me. So I'm holding down the command key and dragging down right on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I've got a nice start, excuse me, for a drum beat. And what I can do here is I can select all that and use Command D to duplicate, right? Or Option R to repeat. So let's say I wanted to repeat that, let's say 15 times, so that I have 16 bars. Oh, and I have to, my click track is set up so that it's clicking even when I'm playing, which I don't want that, so only during record. Great, so I want to have a little something busier here, so I'm going to hold down the Option key, click, and drag up, right? And that's too loud, so I'm going to bring the velocity down. Right, I actually like that. So now I've got a 2-bar phrase. So I've got a 2-bar phrase, which I like better than the 1-bar phrase. So I'm going to Option R, and then I'll do that 7 times. So that means that I will then have 16 bars. Okay, great. Great. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on the kick drum, and I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to go to Instrument 3. I'll click that dot there, and then I will unhighlight that, and then I will just simply use the selector tool. Just click anywhere at measure 1, and then paste all that in there. Right? And Instrument 3. This is going to be my bass. And notice I made a mistake here, so I need to clean that up. Option Shift 3, everything's named properly, and I'll go through here. And then I'm going to record enable this because I want to find a sound. And remember, I can't play keyboards very well. So let's try a synth bass. So let's try, oh, Dirty Dog. What does that sound like? Nope, don't like that. Love the 80s. Great. So I can already tell that that's the pitch I've selected. It's way too low. So I want to transpose that up a little bit. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down and then click the upward arrow. There we go. Still too low. But I want to just go up a few notes. It's too loud, so I'm going to bring it down here with my volume. Now, as I'm hearing that, I'm deciding that I want there to be something snappier in the kick drum. That's just, there's too much boom in this kick drum. Too much boom in boom. There's that boom, boom, boom. And it's clashing with the bass drum, with the bass. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to, let me audition that. Nope. Better, punchier. All right, so I've got some notes in there. So let me try to make a bass line. Somehow that all got... Right? Boom, beep, boom, beep, boom, bump, bump. Not bad. Let's make this a little longer. A little longer. I'm going to actually still sounds a little low, the bass, so I'm going to just transpose it up a couple more notes to A minor. Better. Do opposite this time, go down. And a little, yeah, let's see what that sounds like. Save. Whoops. Save. And then I'm going to get rid of this one here. And I'm going to duplicate this twice. All right, so now I'm right away I'm going to get into arranging. I'm going to delete all that. It's a little fill, right? And then I can go here and I can just duplicate this twice. I'll duplicate it again. Okay, so I'm going to play some piano, but I'm going to play with, I'm just going to limit myself to be playing with one finger and the sustain pedal. All right, so I'm just, you know, what I'm doing is showing you that you don't need to really be skilled keyboard player to actually make a track. And hopefully this will help some of you. Just another technique for working inside the box here. So let's take it right from the top. Here we go. Okay. This part here, I can have some fun with that. I only need to play one note, but I'm going to make it into something. Bop, bop. All right. Hold down the Option key. Let's listen. Right? Just Option. Okay, I like that. And then I'm just going to go here. Whoops. Change my grid to whole notes so I can just copy that and duplicate it a couple times. And let's see what we've got. Okay, so what I think is that the piano comes in too fast at the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy everything. And I'm going to select here, and I'll hold the Shift key down. I'm going to select those 3 tracks, and I'm going to paste it. And then what I'm going to do is I'll delete this little piano bit here. And then I'm going to change this beginning. And that last note can be longer. right? And then here, let's see, let me record enable this, and then I will look for a suitable, something like a pad sound, so let's just see something simple like simplicity. Let's see what that sounds like. Nope, don't like that. Sine pad. So, right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play something really, I don't like that sound. It's a little irritating. And I'm just going to put the word pad here before I start recording. And let's go back here, soft pads. Actually, let's do this. Vocals. Female ooh wide. Now, that's a little bright for me. I want to make it so that it's soft and sort of like just quiet in the background, giving me something to glue and a little fullness. So right here, this is the cutoff filter. This changes the frequencies. It attenuates the high frequencies. So if you turn it to the left, the whole thing will get darker. See that? If you turn it to the right, it gets brighter. That's better. Okay, so let's try this. And again, one finger. All right, so we've got that there, and we're going to open this up. And notice this, so if I click on this, you could see right here, it's an A. So I'm going to hold down the Option key, Shift, and drag that up to a C to give us a nice little two-note chord there. Now I can hold this, that's a G, I can see it right here. So I might want a B, and let's try that. If I don't like that, I'll change it. This is an F. I'll make it an A because it's staying with all the white notes. It's very easy. And then back up to a B here. And then there's a note in the bass that's bothering me. I can hear it. So. No, that's okay. Yeah, it's this note here. Because I'm playing an F chord there, or a G chord, an F chord there, and there was an E there. That's a clash, right? I like that. Now, I want there to be a little bit of dynamics in there, so I'm going to click on this, right? And if you look down at the bottom left-hand corner of your edit window here, there's a little sideways facing triangle. Let me zoom in on that so that you can see it a little easier on your laptops. This guy here. Click on that. It opens up these edit lanes. So if you've got like a bunch of these, right, you just hit the minus sign to get rid of them. You only need to have one open. And if I click here, this says velocity. I'm going to click there and go MIDI volume. All right. So now what I can do is I can use my pencil, and I'm going to use the straight line, and I'm going to draw in some dynamics. And how do I do that? Just click and just draw like a little pyramids. Right? So now the volume should swell in, and like I'll solo this right here. So it's not doing exactly what I want, so I just exaggerate a little bit more. Now what's cool about this, let me listen to the first one. Great, is that I can use the selector tool and in the lane, highlight that measure and then duplicate that with Command D. And you see it doesn't erase the MIDI notes. Wait, hold on a second. Right, I want to go all the way over to here. Okay. And then I just have to clean up that little bit right there. Very simple fix. Right like that. And right like that. All right, so now you see as I'm working, I'm mixing. I'm getting all my volumes sounding good. Great, and then let me look at this again. If I duplicate it, because I came in a little early on the first one, I would miss out on that note. You see, this is right before the grid. I'm not going to quantize that. I'm just going to clean that up. So I'll do Command E to separate that region and just highlight that and delete that bit. And then I can duplicate this. Okay, I could start putting markers in. So I hit the return key, hit enter, and intro. And then I'll call that groove. And then I'll call this verse 1. And now I'm going to go to one of my audio tracks. And give me a second here. Okay, so you see I've got an iPad there, right? Let me move my microphone so you can hear me a little better. Now, iOS devices are amazing music creation tools, right? I have a lot of apps on here that I use that I find very, very useful. So if you look at this, I've got a little cable right here, right? Goes into the headphone jack. And then it comes out, and then I've got it plugged in to the audio interface over there, much like I showed you with the microphone before. So I'm going to go back here for a second, and I'm going to record enable this track and name it Geoshred. It's like my favorite thing. And I set my input to 1 and 2 because it's in stereo. And let me open this up. Okay. And let's see. Okay, so that's the Geoshred right there. So basically the way they've got this set up is that I've got a flute sample in here. And this is like, you know, I don't know, this was like, I bought the full thing. It was like 30 or 40 bucks. But there are so many iOS, oh, excuse me. Right, like Mini Moog Model D. Right, you can find that on sale sometimes for $5. This is a really cool one, the Animoog. But we're going to stick with the Geoshred. Whoops, come on. All right, it's going to start. So I've got this set up for a flute sound, and basically all of these lit notes right? You see the ones that are black here and then ones that are highlighted. They've got letter names on them of the pitches. So let me zoom in on that a little bit. You see that? Like this is an A and this is a B. So they're set up B, like so that if you go from left to right, it's in a scale. So I've got this set up for an A minor scale. I did this in advance because the piece that we're working on is in A minor. And so basically A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And then, right, and it starts down here with B, and there's some overlap. So in other words, there's an E here, and there's the same E here, right? There's a C here, and then there's the same C here. So you just got to practice, fool around with it a while, but you can certainly do some cool stuff with it. So let's go back here a little bit, and let me zoom back out a little. Great. So I want to add one of my audio tracks, and I'm going to use the Geoshred. So I'm going to want that to come in at verse 1. So I'm going to, now if I want to practice along with the track, once I start playing, oh, you hear that because I've got the, hold on a second. This is on. This needs to be muted. Give me 1 second. I have a different setup than you guys have. So, great. Now, if I start playing this, my track, you see there's no sound coming out. So if you want to practice along with the track while it's playing, right, you need to click this little I right next to the record button. That's the track input monitor. So you click that on, it becomes green, and then you can practice along. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's fine. So I'll start recording. I'll record that. Oh, hold on. This is another thing to remember, right? Notice that I record enabled Geoshred and my Midi track is still record enabled. So you have to unrecord enable, your Midi track. Otherwise you'll erase it and then you'll wonder why you erased it. Okay, so Geoshred is on and 1, so 2 bars before. I let it keep going because there's a built-in echo with the Geoshred, and I wanted to capture that. Okay, so I've got a little audio recorded, right? So you can see now that the track is taking shape. I'm building up this track a lot differently than I built up the one last week, right? So there are many ways that you can work in this discipline. So let's do this. Now I'm going to want to reorder I'm going to save this. And I'm going to start reordering this. So I'm going to put my drums and my bass. And then let me start doing my color coding. And maybe I'll have the drums and the bass be like a similar color. Maybe the drums will be just a little different. Piano and the pad might be the same color because they're in the same family. Geoshred's a lead instrument, so makes that a different color. Any questions on what I'm doing so far? Is this like helpful? What do you think? Anybody out there?
Yeah, sorry. I had trouble finding the mute button. But yeah, it's going good for me.
Yes, right. Thank you so much.
Just want to show you different ways of working, right? That's basically it. I have, you guys have all different levels of musicality, and I want to make sure that everybody understands how you go about putting a track together, all the different ways. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some editing work, right? So I've got my... So the Geoshred's a little loud. So there's two ways that you can affect the volume once you've recorded it. If you zoom in on the waveform, you notice there's a little fader here. You could turn this up and down, and this is called clip-based gain, and I use that quite a bit. Also, you've got your volume control here for the audio tracks. Remember, I told you not to touch the volume on your output for your Midi tracks or your instrument tracks, but for audio tracks, yes. So I've done the clip-based gain now. The bass is a little loud. I'm going to bring it down just a little. And the piano's a little loud. Just bring that down a little. So I'm mixing as I'm going along. All right. So right here, I'm going to do something a little different. Let's see. I think I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to go right here to the drums. So this is measure 15. So maybe what I'll do is I'm going to get rid of the hi-hats here. Oh, actually 15, right? Okay, so we go. And maybe we'll get rid of the pad there, right? Because we can always copy and paste it later. So I want to change this here so that it's not, so that it's a little different. So I'm going to just delete this here. And then I'm going to highlight that whole measure, and 1, 2, 3. So that's 4 times. So now I'm going to copy this 4 bars here. Let me actually switch that other view. Give it a second here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this 4 bars here. Paste it there. And duplicate that. And then now I'm in this new section, so I'm going to call this, I don't know, I'll just call this bridge for now, right? And then maybe I'll make it a little bit busier. Right, so I'm just option dragging. Yeah, getting Bill Withers Use Me, that early 70s tune. and then back. Okay, so now we've changed the bass line a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just use the grabber tool and lasso all these notes so I have my bass rhythm, right? And then I'm going to go to bass here, and it's at 19. And click up in that ruler, and then paste that. Or actually, if I merge, will it merge? No, I have to paste it. Okay, great. And then that needs to be transposed up. So this is a C. So I was in A minor, so I could go to C. I could go to D. I think I'm going to go to D. It's the 4 chord. Right, and so let me just think. Beep, 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 bop, 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 bop. Right, so beep, bop, 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 beep, bop, bop. So it would go a little chromatic, a little different. I don't need that one there. And then I can copy that or just duplicate that. Right. All right, and now we've got our piano. So, okay, so I'm going to go to the bridge. I'd like the piano, but I want to do a different kind of piano instrument. So I'm going to go to expand, and I'm going to record enable it, and then maybe I'll go over to electric pianos, right? So let's see. Let's do the vibrato whirly. Let's see if that sounds any good. Fine. It's a little bright. That's fine. So again, I'm going to name this. This is a Wurlitzer sample of a Wurlitzer electric piano. That's the two main electric pianos in the mid 1960s on. Well, actually, the Wurlitzer electric piano, its first big appearance on a recording was Ray Charles' "What I Say." I think that was in the 1950s. But the Fender Rhodes electric piano had metal tines like on a fork that were struck with a hammer from underneath, and the Wurlitzer had reeds that were struck, so they had produced a rounder sound. So, okay, so let's do the same thing I did before. Just play a rhythm with one note and then figure out some chords. Yeah, so I like that thing where I leave the beginning of it free and then come in a little bit after, sort of answering the bass line, right? So here we are, one measure before. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right? I got the rhythm in. I knew that it was on a D, so I just played a D here, and now I can sort of figure out my notes. So let's see. So it's going to be some, I know that I'm in A minor, so it's probably some sort of D minor chord, so I can just create that from here, right? And if you want to see it in notation, I wonder if you can do this in notation. Hold on, first of all, let me save before I do anything. So I click here, my little notation thing comes up. Let me see if I can option drag up. You can't do it in notation. Really, it's drag. So that's an, I know that, right, I'm going to make, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the top note be a little louder. So I'm going to circle all these, hold down my command key, and then bring the velocity down on all those. So let's listen to what that sounds like. Deep ba da da, right? So maybe that second one, beep ba da da. So I'm going to go to slip mode. I don't want to quantize my timing. I kind of like the way I played it. And I'm going to make these almost as long as the next one, right? Because I want to phrase that. And then, well, you know what I could do, just because it's, you know, it's fine, is I can just simply duplicate that twice and then play around with the notes, right? So. That's an E chord. And maybe we'll do a little motion here. Da da dee da. And then I've got my, where's my piano track? Let me grab all those notes. I'm going to copy those. And let's see, where's that end? So right there. Paste that in, and then take my trimmer tool, and maybe I'll make that long, like the whole measure. And maybe I'll duplicate that. And then what maybe I'll do is make a rhythm. So if I hold the, I'm using, I can use the selector tool and just hover there. And then just pick some spots. Okay, and maybe I'll do a little dynamics here with velocity. Right? See, I'm just drawing that in. And then I think maybe in this part here, I might want to do another audio. So these are stereo audio tracks. I want a mono audio track. Command-Shift-N. Voice. Great. And the input is input 4. You guys only have 2 inputs on your audio interfaces. And I'm going to use this microphone here. All right. I don't want to set up another microphone. This is perfectly fine. And what I'm going to do in this one little section is I'm going to read some poetry. You know, we're getting really artsy. So when I was in 6th grade, all right, my 6th grade teacher recited this poem, and I can remember the first 3 lines. Who stuffed that white owl? No one spoke in the shop. The barber was busy and he couldn't stop. Since 6th grade, but I can't remember where I put my phone last night when I got up this morning. That's just a sad state on life. So I'm going to recite some poetry over that one section to get my other audio track in. So let's see, voice. Check 1, 2. Okay, so you're hearing, it sounds funny now because you're hearing it directly out of the audio interface and then through Pro Tools, right? So you guys won't have that problem, but I'm just going to mute that for now. And then I'll unmute it afterwards. So I've got 2 bars up front. And let's just start. Oh, I want to unrecord, enable my Wurlitzer. And we're ready to go. And then boom. Who stuffed that white owl? No one spoke in the shop. The barber was busy and he couldn't stop. Okay. Was that a bit ridiculous? But, you know, I'm having fun with this, and I'm going to get rid of all the laughter. I don't need that. And that was perfectly fine. Who stuffed that white owl? No one spoke in the shop. The barber was busy, and he couldn't stop. And then there, right there, after I do that, silly, right? I can do like some little drum fills. Stop. Stop. So let's see. Stop. Yeah, and then here on this beat, nice crash on that downbeat there. Stop. And then we can go back to the beginning here where we had our verse. And now watch this, right? So there's this line right in here. I can click and drag over and select everything right there. Right? And copy that. And then put that right up in this area here. And then just paste. Stop. Okay, so I was 1 measure too late. So I really want to undo that and then put it right here. And then now, remember I had that little pickup at the beginning of the Geoshred. Notice how it's not here. I haven't erased it. I can use my slip mode or my grid mode and just pull back and it reveals it. Stop. Now, this P is over the top, so I'm going to put the playback head here, do Command E, and then lower the volume on that, all right? Just that one little clip. All right, let me think about this for a second. What can I do here to make my arrangement a little bit different, right? I want to build it up. Well, so what I could do is do a little harmony thing with the Geoshred. Let's see if I can figure that out. So I did this. Let me listen to it. Stop. Yeah, so I just did ba ba da 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 da. So if I did. Yeah, let's try that. Stop. Okay, so this is, we don't want this to be so loud, so we're going to bring that way down. We want that just to be a nice little harmony thing. Oh, I got to turn off the input monitor. Yeah, nice. So I might just double this again. Right? Just holding the shift key down and duplicating. And then now, so let me take this instrument and drag it here, and then we're going to call this strings, right? And we'll go in here and record enable. I'm going to audition some string sounds. So let's see, strings. I want soft, big soft strings. Actually, let me think about that for a second. Let me see something here. Yeah, that might be kind of fun. All right, let's try that. I'm going to do the one finger method again and then find out. I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to do the one finger method again and then find some notes. Or maybe I'll do two fingers this time. We'll see. 2, 3, 4. Nope, don't like that. All right, great. So let's open that up. So what I want to do here is, I think I'm going to quantize this one. So option 0, it's 16th notes. I'm just going to apply it. I'm not worried about whether it's, I typically wouldn't do 100%, but I just want to quickly, so I'm just going to drag these notes down, right? And then listen to that. Yeah. Ba-ba-do-do-da. And then, excuse me, do it so that same pattern, and notice it's rhythmically displaced, right? So the first time it starts right on the beat, the second time it starts before the beat. So that's kind of cool. That's like a happy accident. Yeah, I like that. So I like that just like that. So yeah, then duplicate that. And then now we'll do a little different. So do da do dee bee dum. And then do the same thing with the rhythmic displacement here. Do da dee da. And then let's get this measure here, right up to here, just the first 3 beats, and then paste it in. Great, and now the whole thing is just too plucky, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to bring the velocity of everything down so it's a little softer. So I'm going to bring the volume up here a little bit. Copy. Paste. And so then this is a verse, another verse, so that's verse 2. Oh, I forgot to unrecord enable that. See, it's like if I'm not paying attention, but I can just get everything back. It's fine by dragging. And then I did that right here, right? I'm going to copy this first measure, and then I'm going to put it on the Wurlitzer track. And when I do this, I want to merge paste it because I want it to take the name of Wurlitzer. So Option M. Yeah, so that's too loud. So I'm going to bring the velocity down. And it's up too high. So I'm going to hold the Shift key and push the downward arrow to drop it all down an octave. And I want it to be the entire 2 measures long. So I'll use my trim tool. And then I think what I'm going to do now is go back to the bridge. Take me to the bridge. Right? Okay, so I'm missing a note with my bass, right? So I need to fix that up. The downbeat somehow didn't get... interesting. Oh, wait, where am I? Okay, so I don't want to repeat this here. So what I'm going to do is Command-Shift-N, a new stereo instrument track, save, and I'm going to put expand 2 in there. Bells. Bell and pad. What does that sound like? Nope. I'm looking for like 80s. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, bells. I'm probably going to change that sound, but I'm going to copy that Wurlitzer there, and I'm going to merge paste it here, and then I can just delete that, and let's try cheesy theater organ. I like that better. Cheese. Whoops. And let me get that name correct. Option Shift 3. Bring the volume down. And then let's just go right to verse 2. Again, copy. Okay, so I need to, there's a little bit here that clashes with that. So let's see what happens if I get rid of these two. Delete those. And where's my cheese organ? So I don't like, what I think I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make that note long, so that's my E. And then go down to E chords. Let's go down to G sharp there. That's a little wanky, but I'm just going to let it go for now. And then we got our downbeat here. I want to have a crash cymbal and a downbeat. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the piano track, and I'm going to duplicate everything. And I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to just highlight and get rid of all that. And I'm going to look for a new sound. Oh, that's mini grand. So I'm going to go and put in expand 2. And this time I think I will go back to electric piano, and I will do the Fender Rhodes, which would be like a chorus suitcase. And let me just listen to what that sounds like. And okay, so that's fine. What I think I'm going to do is I need to get the name correct on the track. So Option Shift 3. And then what I'm going to do is open this up. Everything's selected. I'm in slip mode. And I'm going to use the trimmer tool. I'm going to make all these notes a little bit longer. And I'm going to even out the velocity so that it doesn't stick out. So I'm just going to drag that up and down, make it softer. And then here, something weird happened here where, okay, so what I'm going to do here is something, just to change things up a little bit. I'm going to select, hold the Shift key down, and click on all these bottom notes. Just so that I'm making something a little bit different the last time around. And I'm going to hold the Shift key and the up arrow. Now what you could also do is you could select all of this, right? Copy it. Hold the Shift key down, push the downward arrow, it goes down an octave, and then merge paste it. And that's bigger. Now I'm listening to that, and all these bottom notes are clashing. So let's just get rid of those. So it's a little variation now, right? Okay, and let's get my voice in here again. And let's, well, I need to just do that. And where's our text? It's so silly. All right, let's... The barber was busy, and he couldn't stop. The barber was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. So ridiculous. All right. I hope you're getting a good laugh out of this. And let's clean this up, right? I'm on slip mode and I can just delete what I don't need there. And unmute it and get rid of the record. The barber was busy and he couldn't stop. The barber was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. Bit-ip. And then we're going to end. So we'll go back to grid mode and... Oh, come on. There's this really weird thing with Pro Tools, which is hard for me to explain. There we go. Bass. Let's go to pad. Select these 3 notes. Option, drag. Make them whole measure long. Let's get our MIDI volume here. Let's make this longer. Let's really milk that ending out. Maybe we'll do a couple little licks on the Geoshred over that chord. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop. Stop. And let's see, we can copy this, right? And oh, this is electric piano, so I need to fix that. And Command Shift 3. Copy this and merge paste it there. But we don't want to have the volume swell there, so what we want to do is delete that. And let's make this a little bit, bring up the velocity on that. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop. Don't need that big hit at the end. He wouldn't stop. Oh no, he wouldn't stop. Don't need that kick drum. I'm not sure about the ending. Let me ponder it for a minute. But let me do a little geo-shredding over that last note chord. So that comes in at 48, so I'll start at 46. Geoshred is record enabled, nothing else is record enabled. Barber was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. Oh, I know. That's a good idea. All right, so Barber was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. Right. So you see, right, I was having a problem there with that ending, And if I do something with the Geoshred, it'll lead me into... Barbara was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. One more time. I'm getting there. Barbara was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. Cool. Barbara was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. Wouldn't go to that A. Barbara was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. It's not hitting that A. Let's see, there's another A up here. Try it up there. Barbara was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. Barbara was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. Almost. See, like I have to keep doing these things over to get it right. Barbara was busy. No, he wouldn't stop. Good. I'll take that. Save. All right. So the track is written, okay? And basically, everything I did here, we've done before. I did show you a little bit how to draw in notes with a pencil, but just more work with doing this just to help out people who are not adept at playing keyboards, to show you that you don't need to be a keyboard player to get a track. Now, I'm going to start doing a few things now that we haven't gone over yet. But before I do, is there any questions or comments on what we just created? I mean, this is a demonstration. It's a corny, it's supposed to be funny. Any questions?
No, that was pretty cool.
Okay. Now, just a couple things, right, to talk about here. When I repeated a section, even if I copied and pasted, notice how I altered it so it wasn't an exact repetition, right? Remember I had you copying and pasting and dragging, option dragging stuff in the beginning of the semester to create new, to stretch things out. Well, I did the same thing here, but if I copied and pasted the drum part, I altered it a little bit. If I copied and pasted the bass, I changed it in a few spots. The same thing with the pad, right? At the end, I made it more notes. I transposed and added extra notes. Right, and then I had that chord that came in over here with the piano sound. But then over here, I had to come in with the Wurlitzer sound, right? And then at the end here, there's the piano, and I doubled it with that electric piano, right? So as I'm going along, I'm creating an arrangement, right? And it just, so that it's not repetition, right? Repetition is important for people to remember stuff, but you can repeat something and develop it so that it sort of grows and takes on the characteristic of a character in a play. And as the music unfolds, it goes on a little journey. So now when it plays back, the sound's a little different. So now when it plays back, instead of there being a chord on the piano, the chord's on the Wurlitzer. So now all of a sudden, there's these pizzicato strings with harp that weren't there before. There's this cheesy organ that's based on something from earlier, right? So, and then when the Geoshred comes in the second time, there's a harmony note, and right? So just all this stuff that makes things a little bit more interesting. Okay, so getting back to here, right? These are my two Geoshreds, so I'm going to color them the same color. And this is my voice right here. I'm going to color it a color that I like. Let's see. There we go. That's a little. I guess green it is. Not pea soup green. There we go. That's better. All right. So I've got 2 audio tracks I didn't use. So I'm going to select one. Let's switch cameras. Hold on. So I have that third camera because I've got like right here, I've got this additional little switcher that I've got plugged into this so that usually I push these buttons here to switch to camera view, but this is like a sub switcher here and it just blacks everything out for a second. All right, so I'm clicking on this. I'm holding the shift key, clicking this, right clicking on the name, and I'm going to delete. So as I was going along, I was mixing my volume levels, and I've got everything kind of panned in the middle right now. So what I want to do here is I want to think about this for a second, right? So I've got Wurlitzer and cheese organ. That should probably be up by the electric pianos. So I've got an acoustic piano, and you're not going to hear this because it's you're in mono from Zoom. And I've got an electric piano here. So like, for example, in this section here, instead of having them both in the middle, it might be nice to have one panned a little bit to the right and the other panned a little bit to the left. And then I've got this Wurlitzer here. And the Wurlitzer sort of works with the cheese organ. So maybe the Wurlitzer can go a little bit over to the left and the cheese organ can go a little bit over to the right. So that if I solo those 4 instruments, we've got already some nice panning going on. And then the cheese organ will be over on my right ear. Okay, so that cheese organ's still too loud. And if you pan things over, you'll notice that they'll be a little bit too loud because they don't have to fight for space to be heard. Okay, so good. Did a little panning. There's volume automation here on the pad, which is nice. So I'm going to teach you something now that's a little bit advanced, but will help you out tremendously. Now, another thing, 2 things. The first thing is gain staging before we start really getting into the mix. So typically when I work, I have a little plug-in that I put into the chain, and I've got this guy right here, right? And this is a physical box that's meters, and it tells me the frequency of the entire mix, frequency analyzer, and it tells me the overall volume of my track. And I can see it right here, right in front of my face as I'm working typically. And numbers are good because they give you an exact reference point. So we can't do that with the built-in plugins in Pro Tools. But what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 stereo AUX inputs and 1 stereo master fader. Oh, I only created 1 AUX track, so let me just duplicate that. And drag the master fader so it's at the bottom. Oh, I duplicated the master. Well, I don't want to duplicate that. Let me delete that. I only want 1 master fader. Okay, great. And I'm going to take both of my AUX tracks, and what I typically do with these is I have no color for them. And with my master, I also typically have no color. So there's none option. Now, I have a sense for this because of the way I work, but you notice up here, there's a meter and I'm not anywhere near the red. I'm sort of like about 60, 70% up there. Now, what you can do as you're mixing is you can go in the master track, right? And what I would do would be to take the very last slot. So if you, right, you pull it down, and in the very last slot at the bottom, you're going to go to Avid, and you're going to add something called the EQ3 7-band EQ. Now, this is a 7-band graphic equalizer, and we're not going to use it in this class as a graphic equalizer. I start to teach this towards the end of Audio MIDI 1, and we definitely get into it in Audio MIDI 2 quite a bit. But this is very useful because it has something that will help us with our volumes right now. Right here at the top, it's got an input meter and an output meter. Who stuffed that white owl? No one spoke in the shop. So what you want to do is you want to get it so that your loudest material is not much above -6. I mean, if a peak gets somewhere around here, that's fine. You want to leave about 6 dB headroom before it hits 0. You definitely don't want anything to be in the red. That's not a good situation at all because that's distortion. All right, so let me zoom that back out. As you can see, who stuffed that white owl? You could see that there are these little, let me zoom in again. As I play, who stuffed that white owl? You see, like, there's these little lines that stay there. That lets you know where your peak is, and then it disappears after a few seconds. Who stuffed that white owl? No one spoke in the shop. So this is not a loud song, but I'm peaking a little bit below -6, it looks like, and that's fine for right now. And we'll deal with that in a minute. So what I want to do is I want to give some depth to this, right? And we're just going to balance out the volumes, which I've done already, and I want to add some depth to this. So we're going to talk about 2 ways to add depth, and I'm going to be going over this again next week. So this is just an introduction to this, and we're going to be adding reverb and delay using Ascend. Now, I said this in the last class. Typically what happens is that people take reverb and they plug it right into the insert, right? And no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to get used to learning how to route audio all around Pro Tools. That's really important to learn how to do. And the reason why you want to have, typically in the history of recorded music in recording studios, what a recording studio would have would be, some of them would have something called a chamber. And a chamber is a room that's been sealed off, and it has one or two speakers or 1 or 2 microphones in it. And it's a room with very hard reflective surfaces. So, like, for example, if I were to show you... So you've seen the pictures of that building out in Los Angeles for Capitol Records. It's like a big, looks like a big can that goes up. It's circular and everything. There are great recording studios in there that have been around for ages, right? So 30 feet underneath Capitol Tower lies their chambers, right? Oh, and that's not even images. Here, this building here you've seen. That's a famous building, Capitol Records. And when they were building this, I'm not sure I see it, but here we go. Before they put the building together, they dug this hole right here in the ground, and they built these recording chamber, reverb and echo chambers right into the construction of the building. And it basically, they have a bunch of them, right? And they kind of look like this here. You see microphones. They do have a door, some of them, but they seal the door so that very little sound can get in or out. And they've got speakers and microphones, and they have hard reflective surfaces, and they create a chamber, or they have something called a plate, and that just is a kind of reverb. And then another thing that they have, some studios have plate reverb, and basically a plate reverb. Here we go, EMT 251. This is an EMT. So this is basically a metal sheet, and this metal sheet has like a contact mic and two contact mics on it. One of the mics or a transducer on one side and a contact mic on the other side. And you send sound through the transducer that makes the metal sheet vibrate. And as the metal sheet vibrates, right, it creates a sound that's like artificial reverb. And then the pickup, the little microphone that's attached to it, picks up that sound and sends it back to the mixing console. And that's called plate reverb. And that's used on, so I use it all the time. It's a great sound. It's used on percussion. It's used on trumpets. I use it on piano, electric pianos, snare drums. It's a very useful kind of reverb. And then maybe like in the late 70s, 80s, a studio would also have a digital reverb or two. So there'd be like there wouldn't be like this thing where you could have 30 or 40 tracks and a different reverb on every track. No, that's not how practice developed. And the reason why it's good to, not have 50 million different reverbs is you want your music to sound cohesive. You don't want to sound like one instrument is recorded in one room and the other instrument is recorded in another room. You want to have some sort of cohesion. Now, I do use multiple reverbs to create cohesion, but there's a reason. There's a reason for that, and I get into that in Audio Midi 1. But what we're going to do here today is create one reverb send and we'll send some of the instruments through that, and a digital and an echo, a digital delay. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so in the insert, we're going to name this reverb, and you can echo or delay is fine. So I'm going to use delay. Now the next thing you want to do before you do anything is you see the solo here, the S button. You want to make this solo safed. So that means you hold the command key down and click on the S, and you see how it becomes grayed out. That's very helpful for you to always be able to hear the reverb if you're soloing another instrument. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go into the inserts, and you're going to click on there, and you're going to go to, for you guys it'd be reverb, and it would just be called D-verb, D-verb. And then in the delay, you're going to click on that, and you're going to go into delay, and you're going to find mod delay. Where is it? Mod delay 3. Then you have to set your inputs up. Give me 1 second here. Let me reset something. Great. So you want to set your input up. You want to have an input. Now, an aux track, I didn't talk about what an aux track is. An aux track is, we've worked with instrument tracks and audio tracks. An instrument track has Midi, which triggers a sound module that's plugged into the insert, and then there's an audio output where the sound comes out of. An audio track has an audio clip or audio file on the track that plays back, and you hear sound. An aux track plays back audio that's sent to it from another source. All right, so you can't, on this aux track here, right, you notice that you can't put an audio track in here because it's got this volume control in here. So what you have to do is set up an input. And for routing audio inside of Pro Tools, we use something called a bus. And I'll explain this a little bit more detail next week. So just bear with me for now. So I'm going to go to input. And then you see there's interface and bus. I'm going to select the first one that's available, which is bus 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go down to delay, and I'm going to do the same thing, bus 3 and 4, first one that's available. You notice that bus 1 and 2 is already amber because we have an input set right there. and bus 3 and 4 is white or gray. So once we click in there, whoops, bus 3 and 4, well, if I go here, you'll see, you see that bus 3 and 4 is amber because it's in use. Now, the next thing we're going to do before we do any reverb work is we're going to right click here and we're going to rename it. And this is reverb. And then right click here and rename this, and this is delay. Great. Now, how do we get reverb into the reverb track? So let's go to this cheese organ right here, and I'm going to solo that. So you're going to go, you guys have your inserts set up, but what you need to do is you need to add your send column. And that is right here. You click and you see where it says sends A-E. You click on that and see how it adds another column. And this is where you send audio, a copy of the audio that's coming from this track, which is being created by the combination of the MIDI notes telling the plugin expand what sounds to make. So you're going to send a copy of that audio into the reverb track. And this is the way you do that. You go to Ascend, you pick the first one, you click, and you go to the bus. And notice that you have one that's named reverb. You click on that, and then a little fader comes up. So you bring the fader up a little bit, and you play this back. You can hear there's reverb. And you see right here in the reverb track, you can see some level coming up. Now that reverb doesn't work, and we're going to fix that a little bit. But that's basically how you do that. So now if this wasn't solo saved, so in other words, if I hold down the command key and clicked on that, and it's gray now, I mean it's not grayed out, you're not going to hear the reverb. Because this needs to be solo safe so that when you're soloing an instrument to adjust the reverb, you can hear the reverb. All right. So we're going to look at reverb right now. And basically, this is what I want you to do for this class, is to work with a preset sound. All right. So you're going to click on this factory, where it says factory default. And you're going to pick either a plate, like the vocal plate, a medium room, or one of the halls. All right. Don't worry about the ambience or any of these other things. So I'm going to pick a vocal plate. Don't worry about if it's not for vocals. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go over here where it says gain after you've picked the vocal plate, and then you're going to click and drag that all the way up. Better. Too much, so I'm going to bring it down here. And then I'm going to solo my piano. And he couldn't stop. And then obviously on my voice, I'm going to put some reverb. Who stuffed that white owl? No one spoke in the shop. The barber was busy and he couldn't stop. Now, I'm hearing that voice and I'm looking, and you see right here how that's a much bigger little bit right there. So we're going to do a little volume control. So I'm going to just put my cursor here, hold the shift key down right here, and then do Command E, and then that little clip, I can bring the volume of that down so it doesn't jump out so much. Who stuffed that white owl? And the same thing here. Bring that down a little. Who stuffed that white owl? No one spoke in the shop. The barber was busy and he couldn't stop. Still too loud. The barber was busy and he couldn't stop. So as I'm hearing this, the reverb is not only it's a little bit too long. The sound is going on for too long. So I'm going to click here and bring the decay down. I'm going to go over this more next week. This is just a quick introduction. The barber was busy and he couldn't stop. Great. And then just a touch of reverb on the bass. You don't want a lot of reverb on the bass, just a touch. So I think what I'm going to do with the Geoshred is I'm going to pan one Geoshred, the first one, because I've got the piano on the left. I'm going to pan the Geoshred a little bit to the right. So the way that you do that with the stereo track is I'll hold down the Option key and just click on this left pan and it becomes 0. And then with this Geoshred here, I'm going to do the opposite. I'll hold down the Option key, click on the right pan, and that goes into the center, and that'll pan that one over a little bit to the left. So this is nice. I've got the piano in my left ear and the Geoshred in my right ear. And the piano's a little loud, so I'm going to bring the volume down. Bass is still too loud, too. Okay, so the Wurlitzer can use a little bit of reverb. Not a lot, just a little bit. So I play it and I stop it after the note sound and I listen to the way that the reverb decays. So in other words, this would be too much. Still too much. I just want enough to make it sound like it's in a space, but not like it's enveloping and taking over the instrument. And there's actually, now that I'm listening, there's a little bit too much in the bass. So I'm just going to bring that down. So you see how you make adjustments as you're going along. So for the strings and the harp, you can actually have more. So now I'm hearing this, I think that I want to have that Wurlitzer out in the open with no other instruments there. So I'm going to delete those two guys. All right, that's good. I need a little pickup there. Where are we? So let me copy those, right? And just paste those there. 2, 3. All right, so I'll save this and I'll pick this up next week and we'll add some some delay and a few other things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all those tracks be the same size. Hold down Option and click on that delay. Close this out, hit Return, and save this. Then Command-Shift-W, closed. Yep, no worries, Hamish. No worries. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's lesson. I'm hoping that showing you these techniques, I think, so you can, see different ways to create music will help you out. This week, I think, I tried to create something where I wasn't relying on my knowledge of, keyboard playing and stuff, and showing you, you could have an iPad app or on your phone or something like that you might have that you could record that as one of your audio tracks. It works perfectly well. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, actually, I love that app, and on my Saturday night concert streams that I do from here, I play that often with my one of my synthesizers back there, the Matriarch. I use both of them together. It's really great, really great. So I can do things with that I can't do with my hands on the piano, it's like sliding notes and stuff. All right, so at this point, I will be, sending you feedback videos. Did I send everybody out feedback videos for the last assignment? Because I did them. I'm not sure whether I sent out an email saying that they were up.
I got an email from you.
All right. And just do me a favor, if you've got assignments that are late that you want to get in, look on our stream on Google Classroom, and there's a place to put late assignments. Put them in that folder so that I can just have one spot to go to find the late assignments. I'm not going to penalize anybody for having a late assignment, but that would be the best place for you to put it in order for me to find it. And you'd be helping me out by doing that. All right. So, okay. So we're going to call it a day here. Thanks so much, everyone. I appreciate you all being here, and hopefully this was entertaining and interesting and informative and will help you with your final project. You guys all have a good night.